Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea. What if your garden could do more than just grow food? What if it could actually cultivate hope and resilience right inside of you?
I mean, really stop and think about that for a second. A natural forest is just this masterpiece of design, right? It's complex, it's self-regulating, and it is unbelievably abundant. And it just works. It takes care of its own pests, builds its own soil, and thrives with zero help from us.
So, what if we could borrow that wisdom, that incredible self-sustaining power, and bring it right into our own backyards? Well, turns out we can, and the whole philosophy behind it is called permaculture.
Now, at its heart, permaculture isn't just a bunch of gardening tricks. It's a way of thinking. It's about working with nature, not constantly fighting against it. The entire goal is to design a system that pretty much takes care of itself by watching and learning from the best designer there is, nature itself.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we take that wild forest philosophy and plant it in our own yard? Well, the key is to borrow directly from nature's blueprint, and it all starts by mimicking the amazing multi-layered structure of a forest.
Yeah, the secret is all in the design. See, instead of planting those neat, straight rows of a single crop, a food forest creates a diverse, stacked ecosystem where everything has a job and everything works together. And this, my friends, is where the magic really begins.
It works by stacking the garden vertically. So you start up high with a canopy of fruit or nut trees, which provide this perfect dappled sunlight. And then below that, you've got a layer of shrubs, think blueberries, raspberries. Then you fill in all the gaps with herbs, protective ground covers, and then finally, you've got your root crops thriving down in the soil. Every single layer is playing a part.
When you plant like this, what you're actually creating is something called a guild. You can think of it like a little support team for your main plant, say an apple tree. It's this hand-picked community of different plants, all working together to help each other grow strong.
And the benefits? They're incredible, because this plant community does all the heavy lifting for you. So around that apple tree, you could plant comfrey. Its deep roots pull up nutrients from way down in the soil. You could add some chives to keep pests away, and maybe some clover as a living mulch that literally pulls nitrogen from the air and feeds the soil. The whole system just starts to manage itself. That means less work for you and way more abundance.
But here's where this idea goes from just cool gardening to something, well, something really profound. The very same principles that make a garden resilient are the exact same principles that can help us build resilience inside of ourselves, especially when we're dealing with big things like eco-anxiety or just plain burnout. The parallel here is just, it's amazing. The diversity in a garden, that can inspire what's called active hope in us. That's choosing to act with hope even when things feel totally uncertain. The interconnectedness of all the roots and branches, that reflects our own deep need for community. And a garden that regulates itself teaches us how to find that same strength inside ourselves. And all of a sudden, gardening isn't a chore anymore. It becomes this incredible spiritual practice. It's a way to find our bearings when everything else feels shaky. It helps us turn that helpless anxiety into empowered action, letting us process tough emotions by nurturing life right in front of our eyes.
This commitment to a living, breathing system, it actually mirrors an ideal of mental health. Think about it. You can't force a forest to grow. You have to work with it. You have to accept what happens and trust the process. You don't try to coerce or manipulate it. You cooperate. It's a true act of faith in the system itself.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important harvest from all of this. It's not just about the food you grow today. It's about the story you decide to plant for tomorrow.
Because the real yield here is so much more than apples and berries. By creating a self-sustaining ecosystem, you are weaving a brand new story. A story about your place, about care, and about connection. You're creating a living, breathing example of a better future. Our stuff, our possessions, they fade. But what really lasts are the stories we create in the hearts of other people. A food forest is a story that grows. It's a story that nourishes. And it's a story that will outlive every single one of us. And by planting one, you're building a field of dreams for the future. You are planting seeds of hope, not just for you, but as a profound gift of care for people you will never even meet. It's this quiet, powerful commitment to live as if the future actually depends on what you do. Because you know what? It does. So let me leave you with this.
If your garden could tell a story to the future, a living, growing legacy of hope and resilience, what story would you want it to tell?